Afternoon, folks. I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters and the Pathfinder School. Out here at the Pathfinder School, we teach wilderness survival, woodsmanship, modern trapping, medicinal edible plants, ropes and rigging, intensive navigation, and several other classes. You can check us out at selfrelianceoutfitters.com for our class schedule. All right, so what we're going to do today is Haven Hammocks sent me one of their complete setups with the mattress, with the tent, with all the trimmings so that we could set it up and go through it. And what I want to do is I want to set this thing up, go through the good points and bad points that I can find, setting it up on my own, taking my time, spending a few hours, spending a night in it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm sold on something that I've never even used. So I want to spend a night in it. I want to take it up, put it down. I want to test it out. I want to see how it works. And then tomorrow morning, what we'll do is we'll deconstruct this whole thing and we'll look at how we can pack it up. We're going to try to pack it up into a very small package. We're going to see what all comes from Haven Hammocks, what good points it has and what bad points it has. So stay with me, guys. We're going to get started. Well, Haven hammock, not a bad thing. Is on. You stayed out of here last night because I had the bug net shut, but I think you'd have been in here otherwise for sure. But I'm afraid you would have popped the air mattress. So anyway, pretty chilly this morning, in the 40s for sure. But I thought I would try this Haven hammock out and see how she laid. It is possible to do a flat lay in this hammock, no question about that. I slept on my side most of the night, very, very comfortably, and it was good. So we're going to talk about this thing today. We're going to kind of reverse engineer it now that I've got it put up. We'll kind of reverse engineer taking it down, talk about how it goes up, things like that. What I'm curious to find out really is today is if this thing is pretty much stuffable, as it were, into a pack that's 30 liters, 35 liters, so that you could put your complete shelter system in a pack and not weigh too much. Because I think the entire shelter system probably weighs, if I had to guess, probably 6 or 7 pounds. But if we could get all that into one pack, it wouldn't be too shabby, depending on how much room it takes up. As long as we've got room on the outside for water bottles, things like that, and peripheral pockets that we can put gear in that we might need, like headlights and compasses and things of that nature, fire starting. And we also have our pockets, obviously. But I think that this may be a viable system to backpack, although I think it's more meant for car camping than anything else because of the size of it in its totality. It's kind of a tent and a hammock at the same time. We're going to talk about that as we get through the day here once the sun comes up and things start to get a little warmer. We're going to talk about that, okay? So stay with me, guys. Now, there's a couple things that are fairly unique about this Haven tent design that I'm pretty fond of. And so I want to kind of talk through them with you. And again, you know, I'm not an affiliate of Haven Tents. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm just showing you my opinion on it. They sent me the tent. They sent me the accessories to kind of do a review on. So this is an honest review, okay? I had to fix a problem that I had right off the bat, and I'll show you that. But I think it was just a happenstance, not a big deal. And it was a 5-minute fix or less, to tell you the truth. But there's a lot of innovative design features within this Haven tent that I want to show you and talk about as we're packing this thing down. And the first one I want to show you is on the tarp itself, okay? There's a couple unique features on this tarp that I really like that came with this package over top of this so that it can be used multiple ways. Let's talk about that. Okay, so you can see that there's a tie-out loop here that's got our guy line. But there's also a buttonhole right here, or a inner loop, if you will. And on the bottom of the Haven tent here, there's a toggle, okay? That toggle goes in that loop so that you can actually attach this tarp straight down to the Haven tent itself to give you a full enclosure. Since these ends are already closed in, once you drop this down and toggle it here, you have an enclosed shelter system, okay? So we're gonna look at that too as we go. And there's one other unique feature of this tarp I wanna show you at the top here where it connects to the carabiner as well. So I'm just gonna hank all of these cords so that I can pull them straight out and leave them attached to the tarp. And all of them come with a tensioning device already built into them and reflective cord with black and reflective on it. So I'm just going to leave that attached on all 4 corners. Okay, so as I was saying, all 4 of these corners have a reinforced toggle hole right here, right beside the tie out. And so you can just toggle this thing right down to the side of the shelter, just like this, and basically close it in. Now, as far as weather goes, you've got some air gap here where breeze can get through there. But as far as rain goes, you're closed in all the way around this bad boy now. Okay, the next thing I want to talk to you about is the connection in the tarp, how it connects to everything. Now, you have a set of like Atlas straps here, and they're fairly short. I will change these out for the Pathfinder straps because they're much, much longer than this. I picked 2 trees that were fairly close together. Now, Haven's solution to that is they give you these straps, and they also give you a set of whoopee slings. And the whoopee slings are meant to give you that final tension on this static ridge line to get this thing to be more of a flat lay. Personally, I've never had a problem getting enough tension just by pulling it taut and sticking it in one of these Atlas straps with my hammock with a static ridge line. The static ridge line is always tight when I lay in my hammock. If you stretch it out a little bit to begin with and then rehook it again to the next one, usually you're good. I'm not going to guarantee you that'll work. I'm going to have to try it to find out. But again, I'm never sold on anything I've only used one time. So time's going to be the determining factor there. But I want to show you how this hooks up real quick. I want to show you how this tarp hooks into this, because the tarp is pretty interesting too, because it has also, let me pull this out and just hook it back up real quick here. So you can see this tarp has 2 holes in it, and they're meant so that you can put a carabiner through there and have this on the end and the carabiner coming out the front, so that you don't have to tie this tarp off to anything if you don't want to. Now, obviously you could use a tie out if you wanted to use an overhead ridge line of some sort, but it's made to not have to have a ridge line, and it's almost perfectly tight when you hook it to the carabiner. Now, you have separate bags for all the stuff in this system. This is for your tarp, your poles, and your stakes, all go in this bag. You have a larger bag here that the actual Haven tent itself goes into, that also has a wraparound here so that you can attach the air mattress that we'll talk about in a minute and make it a single package if you wanted to do that. And you can stuff that bag of poles and things inside here with the tent itself. So you have a self-contained system there. Now, when I take this apart, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to stuff it all into one probably 20-liter dry bag or one 30-liter backpack, probably my Dyneema pack. I'll probably try to put all of this in that pack as I'm going to pull it out. Now, that is the one thing that I can see being partially an issue with this setup in the way I would do things, okay? It's always good to talk about the good, the bad, possible improvements, things like that with product. Okay, the one thing that's a little bit of a pain that I'm going to show you real quick, because I haven't seen this anywhere on video, is how to get this to lay the way it needs to lay on top of here so that you can hook your Atlas strap to this. So you've got to hook it first to the Haven tent. Then you kind of have to go through one of these buttonholes and drive the gate through the other buttonhole as you're pulling down like this, so that you get this coming out the top, and you're pulling on the Haven tent and the tarp at the same time when you connect it to an Atlas strap, just like this. That gives you your tarp connection, okay? And that's kind of a pain to figure out the first time you do it, but once you get it, it's pretty easy, okay? Now, the problem with that is it makes it very difficult to put the tarp up first if you're trying to get out of weather, and put the hammock up second, because you don't have that secondary ridge line to be able to slap a tarp up real quick and then build your hammock underneath it out of the rain. You kind of have to do all of this at the same time. Just throw your tarp over everything to keep it dry while you're setting this up. All right, so let's pull the tarp off this for a minute and set it off to the side, because we're going to decide what order we want to stuff this into the bag here in a few minutes. But I want to show you this Haven hammock first and how it works. All right, the bug net is connected here in the middle. It doesn't come completely off, but it zips both directions. So whichever side you decide you're going to get in and out of, you can't unzip it all the way around to that side if you want to. And if you wanted to take the bug net off, or you didn't want the bug net in your way because it's not bug season and you like sleeping in an open air hammock, which I like that really well, You could take this thing all the way to here, and you could tuck it down to an accessory pocket here if you wanted to, or just drape it down behind it inside the hammock so it's out of your way. But it doesn't come completely off of the hammock. And in some ways, I think that's a good design feature as well, because sometimes when you take a bug net completely off a hammock, it's kind of a pain to get back on there. All right, this is pretty easy. It's got good zippers on it. I haven't had any problems with these zippers getting stuck at all. Messing around with them, getting in and out of it. Now I've zipped that all the way over to one side, and you can see that the main line, or the main static ridge line from this, is actually a piece of web strapping, okay? It's not just a Dyneema line or anything like that. It's actually a piece of strap, okay? So, and it's good and tight, no question about that. Now you have a mattress inside here that gives you that kind of lay, and you have spreader bars in here that kind of make it like a bridge style hammock, okay? And to tell you the truth, it's really, really comfortable. I think what you have to do is you have to decide where you're going to lay in this thing. Let me take my hat off here real quick so I can kind of demonstrate this for you. But when you lay down in this thing, depending on where your butt is, sometimes if you scoot just a little bit, that gives you that flat lay. You can see I can lay on my side in this thing with no problem whatsoever. I've got a little bit of room up here, up at the top ahead of me, but I've got plenty of room in here if I'm taller. I'm 5'8", and there is enough room. My feet aren't quite touching the back side of the tent, and I've got a good foot here from my elbow to the end. But depending on where you lay in this hammock, it's going to give you a different lay. If I scoot up just a little bit, it becomes a completely different ball game. I can still lay flat, but I'm laying with my head downhill at this point. All right. If I scoot back just a little bit, now my head is more level on a side lay. All right, and you can sleep on your belly in this thing, no problem. I know I was sleeping on my belly in this thing for a little while last night, so it's not a problem. Getting out of it is pretty easy. It's easy to sit up in. It's easy to get to things and get to gear if you need to. It's real easy just to swing around and get out of. It's actually easier to get in and out of for me than a normal hammock, to be honest with you. And I do like that as well. So now let's kind of talk about this whole mattress situation here and the cover, because it does have an insulated cover on the mattress. Now, before we talk about the mattress real quick, let's talk about these inner pockets, okay? Because they're exactly the same on both ends, so that no matter what end you decide to put your head on, you've got the same thing going on. You've got a side pocket here that's pretty large. You've got a side pocket here that's about the size of a cell phone. And you have a pocket here that's large as well, large enough to put an iPad in there. If you wanted to lay in here and watch a movie or something, I guess you could do that, okay? And those are all connected, solid. And you also have a screen baffle up here for ventilation at the top of the peak, all right? There's a flap down here at the bottom, and there's a screen mesh in there to let moisture escape. And it's exactly the same on both ends. Now, this spreader bar in here is important to understand. And this is where I had the problem yesterday. So we're going to talk about that real quick, and I'm going to show you on the other end where I had the problem and how I fixed it. It was a 5-minute fix, like I said, maybe even less than that. These spreader bars are aluminum. He also sent me a carbon fiber set, which will be lighter, so that I could do more ultralight type stuff with this, understanding it's still going to be fairly heavy with all the components it has with it, okay? So let's move to the other end real quick and talk about the spreader bars before we talk about the mattress itself. So the way these spreader bars work is there is a pocket in here, and you can see it right there is the pocket. There's a pocket that spreader bar sits into. It's a nylon folded webbing type pocket that's sewn up. And you can see right there the bank line sticking out of that, because what happened was when I sat down in this hammock, it ripped that side completely out. Now, quality issues are, what they are. You can make a million hammocks, and if one of them fails, it's going to be the worst thing in the world, right? But it does happen. So I'm not that concerned about that, because it was nothing to fix it. It was nothing to take care of it very quickly, and it worked out just fine. So I would just say kind of look at those and make sure that they're good to go, because there's a lot of pressure on this when you're laying inside of it. And that's exactly what happened. The first time I sat in it, that pocket ripped out and this thing fell down. I fixed it, and I haven't had a problem with it since, okay? But that's how those spreader bars work. They go into a single pocket on each side, just like that. You tuck them in there. Again, I've got carbon ones for this, but these are aluminum. So once you put those spreader bars in and you put the mattress in, you basically have a bridge style hammock at that point, okay? So let's talk about this mattress. This mattress has a cover on it, but it also has points where it tucks in to the bottom of this where they go over the top of the mattress. So if you look inside here, if I pull this mattress up, you can see there's a pocket flap right there. And that tucks that mattress right down inside of it, just like that, so that it kind of stays in place. Now, do you have to buy this mattress for this hammock? I can't answer that because they sent me this one to use with this demo, but I can't answer whether you could put a different one in here. I suspect that any size mattress this size would work just fine. The good thing about this one is it doesn't slide around because it's exactly the right size for this hammock, and it tucks into those pockets just perfectly. Now, there's also a secondary piece here because not only do I have the mattress, but I also have this bra, for lack of a better word, that goes over the top of it that actually has straps on it that connect it here at the bottom, right here. And there's one in the middle and there's one on the other end. And what that allows is it just holds it on there really good for you. And this is an insulated blanket for the top of this mattress, okay? And it was really, really comfortable last night. I was actually very, very warm at 40 degrees with my overquilt on. So it was really, really nice last night. Now, this blanket does have its own bag. And again, I'm not going to use these bags because I want to try to stuff this, all right, and see how that's going to work out. But it does come with a bag. And I believe that is a separate purchase from the rest of this, as well as the mattress itself. Now, there were a couple of accessories that he sent me I didn't use, okay? He sent me the pump, the Haven brand pump, which is very much like a lot of the pumps on the market today, I'm sure. I haven't even opened it yet. But it's got the pump itself in there, which is fairly large. It looks like it's got a light on it. It has different connectors for different size air mattress inlets and a charging cable. So there's nothing wrong with this. I chose to use my tiny pump because I've been using it all the time. It's in my bag. It's ultra lightweight. It weighs an ounce. So I used it. But this is definitely an option for you if you want to buy this one when you buy your Haven setup, okay? And I'm sure it will work, like I said, just fine because I haven't found one yet that didn't work, all right? It's just a little heavier than I want to carry for more of an ultralight setup. He also sent me this ridge light that goes all the way across the ridge line. I didn't use it either. I haven't even had it out of the bag yet. It doesn't weigh anything, that's for sure. So if I wanted to carry it, it sure wouldn't hurt anything. So basically you would take this string of lights, you would hook it onto your ridge line at the top. It's got some clips to do that with right here. And then it's got a USB cable here that you would plug it into your battery, and it's got an on-off switch. Again, it doesn't weigh very much, so I'm sure that it would give you a lot of light in camp, as well as in your hammock if that's what you wanted to do. All right, back to the meat and potatoes with this mattress, okay? Again, it just sits inside here, and it tucks into those corners to make that bridge style hammock. The connector on this is very much like the X-Beds, where you have one opening here that you can pull up to force air in, but it doesn't let air out, and a secondary opening here that you can pull out that lets all the air out of it at the same time. So it's a mass air release. Now, you could use a pump in reverse to take that out of there, but with these mass air releases, you really don't need that. You can just roll it up, okay? And this mattress is the only thing I was kind of worried about how much room it's going to take up, because it is an insulated mattress, how much room it was going to take up in a bag. We're going to find that out as we go here. All right, so we'll just kind of start rolling this bad boy up from the bottom. We'll leave it in the hammock so it's protected, and we'll just kind of start rolling it up to get the air out of it. Once we get the air out of it, we can do whatever we want with it as far as stuffing it goes. But the important thing is to get the air out of it first. By rolling it up in here, I don't have it on the ground. I don't have to worry about puncturing any holes in it. Okay, there's that. Now that's probably the heaviest piece of this whole thing. If I had to guess, that probably weighs a couple pounds all by itself. All right, so that's pretty much got everything out of it except the spreader bars now. And the one thing about this that's also kind of a neat concept is you could actually put this on the ground. This could be a bivvy. You could use some type of trekking poles if you wanted to. Because it has these tie outs here at the bottom with these toggles on them, you could stake this thing to the ground, put your spreader bars in there, use some type of a trekking pole or even between two trees and put this thing straight down to the ground if you wanted to and stake it out. Put your air mattress on the bottom of it. Maybe at that point you want to put something underneath it to protect it, like a sheet of Tyvek like I carry all the time anyway. But you could make this a ground bivvy if you didn't want to sleep in a hammock style. You could make it a ground bivvy very, very easily. All right, so the next step in the game is to pull these spreader bars out, and they have shot cord in between them, so they fold up to this size. Again, I have carbon fiber ones, and we'll put those in the pack when we pack it up instead of these aluminum ones. Pretty small, simple package there for your poles. Now I'm gonna go ahead and drop this mosquito net over the top, zip it back up. And now basically all I've got left is what would be a hammock. Once we take it down, we're ready to start putting this stuff into a pack and see how small we can make it. Okay, so this is the backpack I've been carrying for quite a while now. This is the Dyneema backpack we carry on our website. I do have a prototype coming of a pack that goes on a frame. It's gonna go on an aluminum frame that I've got. That's a little larger than this. I suspect this one may be just a little bit small. I brought a set of my hammock straps out here because I'm going to add them into this kit. Obviously because, like I said, not a fan of the orange or the length of those straps. We're going to have to figure out how small we can make that mat because it came in a bag this long. It's also set up to be a blow bag so you can blow it up. Not real concerned about that. I'd rather just get this thing into a bag and not worry about it. But this is a bag that you can use to blow this mattress up with as well, which is a bonus. There's no question about that. But if you can rely on something like a pump, and in worst case scenario, you blow air into it, then you really don't need that bag. So let's see how small we can get this mattress and go from there. I think we're gonna at least want to get this thing folded in half so that it only takes up the bottom of the pack. And I kind of hesitate stuffing mattresses like this, but if I can keep this thing dimensionally about the same size as the bottom of the pack, since it's really kind of one of the last things to come out, I can just jam it down the bottom of the pack and it'll be fine. And half of that width is about the right dimension, as long as I can keep everything neat and tidy rolling it up here. Better make sure we've got the hole open here in case there's any residual air left in this dude from the first roll. And there was. So we'll get that out. Once we get the air out of it, we'll go ahead and push that valve shut again. Pop that dude in. Now, take our pack here. We'll put this down to the very bottom and hope it fits sideways in there just about right. A little wide. But it will compress in there a little bit. That's about right. So there's the bottom of our pack. There's nothing but that air mattress, okay? All right, the next thing we're gonna put in here is this insulating quilt. And these are the things that kind of take up room, especially if they're not down, because they don't compress the way down does. But I think we're gonna be okay. So far, so good. Not even halfway up the pack yet. Okay. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put our overquilt in here. All right, and I've got a hammock gear burrowed down overquilt here. We're gonna shove that down in there. That's gonna take up some room. But again, it's down, so it compresses easy. All right. Now you don't wanna leave this thing in here compressed when you're not gonna use it. The next thing is the tarp. Stuff that dude in. All our guy lines. Now the only thing that leaves us with is the hammock itself. And we're about right here on the pack right now. So we got plenty of room left, okay? Let's get that hammock down and get that over here. Last thing to go in is the actual hammock itself. I'm gonna leave the carabiners on there. Start jamming this dude in. Piece of cake. Okay, so we've got it in there. We've got plenty of room left in this thing. We're only about right there, okay? We've got our ground sheet. We've got our straps. We have our carbon fiber poles. And this thing came with 4 or 6 tent stakes, but I already have a package of tent stakes in my kit that are black instead of chrome that I use all the time. So we'll use those. And the ground mat's gonna go on the outside of the pack. The poles will probably slide down on the side. So we'll take these and we'll just break them down real quick, just like that. And we'll probably slide these down the side of the pack on one side. Let's get our, there we go. They slide right down to the bottom very easily. No problem at all, okay? Now I'd say I'll take my straps and stuff them on the top too. And bring that dude up here where we can get to it and stuff her down in. All right, now that we got everything in there, we can compress it. We're still right to the top of the edge there. We got plenty of room to roll this thing down. I can feel those poles are right there. So that's perfect. Flip this over, run our top up. Probably gonna have to extend our straps just a little bit from what I had in there before. I have to go a little bit longer than that. Not much, just a little. Extend those down just a shade, just like that. Bring those bad boys up, hook it on. And that is that entire system, basically. Overquilt, mattress, quilt for the mattress, tarp, haven hammock, whole 9 yards. I guarantee you that is under 20 pounds without a doubt. I would say it's probably more like about 12, if I had to guess without weighing it. And then we'll fold this bad boy up, or we'll just stuff it down inside this front pouch right here behind the flap. We've got a little pocket right here. That's good for stuff like that. Just jam this down in there like that. For a ground sheet. Tuck that dude away. Good to go. Since you're back up, is our water bottles and such, the tools that we put on the outside anyway. We've got our GPS and our rat on the outside that we carry all the time on here. And we've got our entire shelter system in here. The only thing we don't have in this pack now, at this point, is extra clothes and food. That would take up a little more room in here without a doubt, possibly a stove. But again, when I get that bigger pack, it's made for a pack frame, I think that's gonna fix that problem because it's about 5 liters bigger than this pack. But for just a quick, dirty overnighter, especially if I had another bag like a haversack to chuck some food into and stuff like that, water bottle pockets on the outside, I'd be set. I could put that whole Haven hammock system in this Dyneema backpack and go. All right, guys, well, I hope that video was informative for you on the Haven hammock. Again, I'm not an affiliate for Haven hammocks. I'm not making any money off the sales of these hammocks. So if you buy that hammock, you buy it. If you don't, you don't. However, I wanted to give you an honest look at that thing to let you know what I thought about it, what the good points were, what the bad points were, and things like that, and try to pack it up as small as I could to see if it's going to work for me That's something that I may use more often than just a couple overnighters here and there. Okay. Listen, guys, I really appreciate everything that you do for my business at selfrelianceoutfitters.com. I appreciate everything you do at our training facility here in Southeast Ohio, the Pathfinder School. And that schedule is available, again, at selfrelianceoutfitters.com. We appreciate your views. We appreciate your support. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, and for our business, for all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends. And I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, guys. Thanks.